Hi everybody, in this video we're going to go over your triangles properties quiz that you took on Friday, April 30th. All right, so this is question number 1. It says that the degree measures of the angles of triangle DOG are represented by x, 3x, and 5x minus 54. Set up and solve an equation to find the value of x. So what we're going to start here with is just drawing out my triangle DOG so I can visualize where all of these angles are located. So DOG, and it wasn't really specific in terms of where these angle measures should go. So I'm just going to say this is x, this is my 3x. I'm going to say that this is 5x minus 54. Okay. All we're trying to do is finding the value for x. So I know that all angles in my triangle, this is a property, will sum to 180 degrees. So if I take my x and I add it to my 3x and I add it to my 5x minus 54, those angles should all equal 180 degrees. Okay. So in this next step, now it just becomes algebra. I have to start by combining my like terms. I have all of my x's here, x, 3x, and 5x. When I add those together, I have 9x. I still have minus 54 equals 180. Okay. Remembering I need to isolate my x, so I want to get rid of my minus 54 to cancel out this minus 54. I need to do the opposite operation by adding 54 on both sides. So I get that 9x is equal to 234. Okay. So now that I'm left with this 234, I need to divide it by my 9x because remember 9 and x are being held together by multiplication. So undoing that multiplication leaves me with division. I'm going to divide by 9. And x as my answer is 26. Okay. So on the Edulastic quiz, you would type in here 26, or you can go and select the numbers 26. Okay. All right, second question here says in the diagram, triangle KLM below, we have measure of angle L is 70 degrees, which is right here. And then we have angle M is 50 degrees, right over here. And the line MK is extended through M. The question for this is what is the measure of angle LKN? So this one is paying very close attention to where this angle is being labeled. Remember we have L to K to N. We want to connect those dots. So the angle that I'm looking for is this one outside here. Okay. This one, remember back to our exterior angle theorem, which says our two remote interior angles, sum of two remote interior angles equals your exterior angle here, your measure of your exterior angle. Therefore, if I took the sum of these 70 plus 50, I'm going to get a total of 120 degrees, which means that this angle, the angle that I'm looking for, the exterior angle, angle LKN, is 120 degrees. So your answer here in Edulastic, we'd be writing 120 You can add the little degree symbol as well. Question number 3, very much like question 1, where we have all of these different measures for our triangle ABC. However, the real question is, which type of triangle is triangle ABC? Now, if you're in class, you would have heard that I talked about there are many ways we can answer this. In terms of what triangle we're trying to identify, it could have been an acute triangle. It could be an obtuse. It could be a right triangle, or you could also identify it with those different types of triangles, such as equilateral or isosceles or scalene, right? So these were kind of like, this was like your word bank for what type of triangle is triangle ABC. So we'll have to go in and solve for our angle measures and figure out all of the different degree measures for my angles. Okay, so if I draw triangle A, B, C like this, I know A is 3x plus 1. Now this is very important on where I'm placing my angle measures. 4x minus 17, and then C was 5x minus 20. Remembering our triangle sum property, that all the angles in my triangle will sum to 180 degrees. So that means I would take 3x plus 1, add it to 4x minus 17, and add that to 5x minus 20 to set it equal to 180 degrees. Okay. From here, we're using straight algebra to solve for my x. So I've got my like terms, 3x, 4x, 5x. We're adding them all together, so that becomes a 12x. We have 1, so this is a positive 1, but we're minusing 17 and we're minusing 20. So in total, you're going to get a negative number, which is a negative, so we'll minus 36. And that equals to 180 degrees. Okay. So since we have minus 36, I need to cancel that, do the opposite by adding 36 so I can isolate my x. Leaving me with 12x is going to equal to 216 degrees. And we're going to divide by my 12. And when we do that, we get that x equals 18. Now, we're not quite done, okay? We're still looking for what type of triangle this is, not solving for x. So what I have to do now is take my x and plug it into all of my angle measures so I can figure out what degree measure they actually are. So 3x plus 1 instead becomes 3 times 18 plus 1, which is 55 degrees. My 4x minus 17 is now 4 times 18 minus 17, which becomes 55 degrees again. Okay. Now we check my 5x minus 20, which is 5 times 18 minus 20, which is 70 degrees. Now, if you're unsure about your answer for x, you can go ahead and double check. Is 55 plus 70 equal to 180? If it is, then you're good, okay? So here's where I was saying there are multiple ways we could answer this. Notice my angle measures. I have 2 of them that are equal, which means we could call this triangle an isosceles triangle because an isosceles triangle has two sides and two angles that are going to be exactly the same. Another thing that we can call it is a acute triangle, because all of my angles are less than 90 degrees. All right, final question that we had here. We are going to solve for a angle measure, and we're going to take into account all of my different symbols and given information that we have here. So starting by reading through this, it says that triangle ABD with the ray AC. We know that BE is perpendicular to AD, so that's why they have that little square telling us that we have 90 degrees here, but it would also be here. Okay, so let's remind us of those. And the angle EBD is congruent to the angle CBD. Okay, so those two angle measures need to be exactly the same. And we know that the angle ABE is 52 degrees. We are trying to solve for this angle measure right here. Okay, so how we're going to do that is, I know this angle right here. This angle, 52 degrees, lies on a straight line with these two angles right here. And I know that those two angles have to be the same degree measure. So I'm going to replace them with the same variable. Okay. So when we know that angles lie on a straight line, they will equal 180 degrees. So that 52 degrees plus my x plus another x, because remember, they're both angles that help make up this 180, but they're going to be the same measure, so that's why we're using the same variable, equals 180 degrees. Combining like terms, x and x become 2x plus 52 equals 180. Subtract away my 52 to isolate. I end up seeing that 2x is equal to 128. And then I have to divide by 2 to get that a single x is going to equal to 64. Okay, so each of these angles, 64, and we have 64 here. Okay. Now that I've solved for that angle, I can very easily find this angle by focusing on this triangle right here. Okay. This triangle right here, I have known information about this angle and this angle. And I know that triangles all sum to 180 degrees. So that means 90 plus 64 plus whatever the measure of angle D is equals 180 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to combine like terms here. 90 and 64 give me 154 plus D equals 180. I'm going to subtract away 154. And the measure for angle D is just 26 degrees. So on Edge Elastic, you can just tell me 26, and you could even put that degree symbol if you like. I think it also takes if you just wrote 26. And that's how you go through your quiz for this week.